40 years. In the last year and a half, I've heard about, I've never heard more about a particularly specific kind of problematic project in my 40 years in data centers. And it's all really flared up in the last year and a half. The punchline of this map is you are a brown state, right? Missouri, which means when a developer builds a data center in Missouri, they pay no sales or use tax on building materials or equipment or machinery that they buy to equip and build the data center. It's a lot of money because the data centers cost billions of dollars now. The law was passed when they cost tens of millions of dollars, or maybe 100 million if it's a really big one. Now they cost billions. And so therefore the amount of foregone sales tax is more than any other state ever expected when they enacted those exemptions. And yet your state still does not even tell you as the Missouri taxpayers one aggregate dollar figure about how much revenue you're losing at the state level, much less anything company specific about Amazon got this and Microsoft got that and Apple got that and Meta got that, or how many jobs they said they're going to create, or whether the jobs are really good. None of that. They don't give you nothing. That's outrageous. And this is inconsistent with your state. Your state discloses quite a few other details about other kinds of incentive programs. But for some reason, data centers are getting a pass. They're getting a crazy pass. That's nuts. Next slide. So to wrap up our recommendations, we say take the property tax share that would otherwise go to schools, just take it off the table. Or give SLPS more than just a vote on the board. Let it decide for every deal whether it wants to interact. Or maybe it wants 50% in, 50% out. But whatever, put the intergovernmental fee on. Give everybody control over their own budgets. We think the state should repeal the sales and use tax exemption to data centers. We know that every state that's ever studied whether they break even on them says no, we actually lose 52 cents, says one state, or 70 cents on the dollar for data center subsidies. They're massive fiscal losers. And require, truth in taxation, like the example you saw in Cook County 1-1. Next slide, please.
We got it.
Let's be honest and make it official that there's a TIF moratorium in St. Louis. That we're pressing the pause button and coming back up with a better plan. Let's make it a litmus test for anybody running for public office that they agree things can get fixed. Let's talk about overhauling the economic development strategy here in a way that centers neighborhood stabilization and community schools. And let's turn TIF into a machine for affordable housing. It's just that simple. Next slide, please. You are not alone. Lots of other people are fighting these fights. TIF is figured into the last 4 contract settlements for the Chicago Teachers Union in Chicago. Next slide. This has been a red hot issue, even computing slates for school board membership in Columbus, Ohio, the biggest, fastest growing metro city in the state of Ohio. Next slide. In South Carolina, the Education Association is up in arms. The numbers keep going up now. It's not a very big state. They've lost $3 billion in 7 years. Next slide, please. And in Louisiana, teachers threatened to walk out if a parish school board did not say no to ExxonMobil for a tax abatement the company requested 2 years after it started operating the facility, as if the tax break was going to cause anything to happen. Luckily, the school board smelled the coffee and denied the company the tax break. Next slide, please. And here's everybody's elephant in the room, right? Bad news coming from Washington. The next couple of years are going to be awful for everybody. We know some places are going to get a cold, and places like St. Louis may get pneumonia, right? Because of what's happening with the federal budget cuts. It's not just Medicaid and SNAP. It's housing, it's infrastructure, it's education, it's training, it's small business assistance. Some of those programs are getting zeroed out, others are getting cut by a fourth and a third, right? Big money cuts. And the question is, where does the money come from to fix those problems? I would argue it should come from dumb subsidies like data center tax breaks that they don't need and we can't afford. Next slide. One more time, because I'm talking to educators, you all are the guardians of Missouri's business climate for these reasons. Education is the cornerstone of economic development. It's not me saying this. This is long-term academic research that nobody contests. Right now, when companies are looking for a place to locate, the number one thing, and it's been true for years, especially because of the baby boom retirement, is the supply of skilled labor. If you don't have skilled labor, You're never going to make a short list. It's about quality of life, which means the ability to recruit companies and recruit people that want to work for those companies in those places. And the quality of schools is the number one determinant in many markets of home values. Next slide, please. So here's what it all comes down to. This is the true chain of causation about how good economic development happens. First, you have to have a great place to live. And at the top of the definitions of a great place to live are great public schools. If you don't have those, you don't have a good place to live. If you have a great place to live, you attract smart people, and smart people attract promising employees. That's why what you're doing is exactly strategic. Thank you very much. Please. Right, and this is about you take questions. Please.
I just want to say thank you very much for the facts. So basically, big companies get a break on tax for building their company. So who's paying for that and how is it paid? It's paid out of our education taxes that come in instead of those education taxes going to the schools, the school district, they go to these companies for what, you know, enticing them to come in and set up.
Right. So two things happen when companies, newly arriving companies or newly expanding companies don't pay their fair share of taxes. Only two things can happen. One is that everybody else pays more, which is to say working families, small businesses, everybody living with the tax rate. And or the quality of public services declines, which is what I'm talking about here, like the defunding, the disinvestment in public education. And usually it's some of both. So there's a burden shift and there's disinvestment. And that's the collateral damage of spending too much and putting too many eggs in too few order baskets. Who else? This is a dumb. Saw some people nodding a lot. They must have something to say. You know who you are.
So are these TIP funds, are these funds that companies are receiving, which are producing, tax dollars that would have been going to education, but now is being developed or developed? Is that similar to what this country is doing with ours? Is that similar? You know, is that okay? You would say
I hadn't thought about the analogy, but there's something to that. I mean, yeah, and there's a burden shift going on. There's obviously people are paying higher prices. Small companies are getting squeezed with lower profits by the tariffs. There is a burden shift for sure. Yes.
Okay. Next question. You talked about blighted areas, but in my perception, this city is blighted. And so how realistic can we fight for this? Because we do need hope here. We do need development here.
Yeah.
So how do we get that? How do we really fight this in a city that has the visual perception of being blinded?
So I've written a book, two books about this, and one of the issues that comes up repeatedly is the self-image, the civic self-image of a place like St. Louis. And the system, we have a corporate dominated site location system in this country which gives too much power to the companies to manipulate what happens with taxes and misinform people about what really matters. The truth is incentives matter little to most companies because all state and local taxes combined equal less than 2% of their overall cost structure, which is to say more than 98% of what companies spend money on is not state and local taxes. It's labor, occupancy, raw material, logistics, IT, energy, whatever. Varies a lot depending on the nature of the company and the facility. So when I talk to public officials, but the system depends on demeaning and degrading and disinforming public officials to make them believe that they've got to give away the store to make up for their deficits, right? The system depends on them internalizing that misperception, that misinformation, in my opinion. So we need our public officials to say, no, actually, we have a better card, we have a better hand of cards in this poker game than we've been led to believe. And if we spread the benefits of our programs around to more small businesses, more neighborhoods, more small landlords, more homeowners, we'll get a better output, we'll get a better result from our spending, rather than putting a lot of eggs in a few baskets with these giant 23-year tax diversions called tips. That's a short answer to a complicated question. The other point I'll try to make, and I had a very good conversation with somebody today about the regional issues. So it's also crazy that you all view yourselves as being in competition with St. Louis County or St. Charles County, and that there's a competitive thing here, right? Because at the end of the day, viewed from the outside, if an outside company is looking to locate somewhere, they look at the whole labor market here. They look at the whole commuting shed. They don't look at one city or one suburb. They look at this metro area. Does it have what we need? And that should be the mindset of everybody working in local economic development in the city, in every suburban county. And there should be a system that causes them to cooperate and act regionally. And in Denver, Colorado, and Dayton, Ohio, there are two systems that we've written about, which very actively incentivize local officials, local economic development officials, to think regionally and behave regionally and cooperate actively, much more so than they do here in most other metro areas. And I'm going to recommend that model to your local officials here, because it's crazy otherwise. Great questions.
Hi. First, I want to say thank you so much for your presentation and for being here this evening. I have a couple of questions, but the first batch I want to ask just about the initial portion of the presentation with the data. You showed a slide comparing the city of St. Louis to other metro areas with the per capita input on the TIF districts. How did you calculate the population of our area in comparison to, I think we have Los Angeles, Phoenix, and Chicago on there to get to that difference?
Yeah, I just used the US Census data for that the same year that we had the census of the TIF districts.
So I think, like, for example, the city of Chicago has 163 TIF districts spread out over their population. So wouldn't you say that per capita, our population TIF district would be a little skewed just because we don't have as many people?
Well, that's exactly the point. If you have as many TIF districts as Chicago, but only 1/10 or 1/8 or whatever of the population, you're going to have a much higher per capita share. And that's exactly the point of that chart.
Okay, so I guess my second question, noting that you also noted the comparison of St. Louis Public School District to other neighboring county public school districts. A lot of those districts don't disaggregate their data by the overall impact of how the revenue is being calculated. So how did you come up to that assumption when we don't necessarily have all of that information?
Well, we read the study very, very closely. Good for you. So we have compliance problems with several suburban school districts who just give us one lump number that may reflect 4 or 5 different tax abatement programs. We believe that the majority of that money is TIF money, and we say so in the study, but we can't say for certain because those school districts are not complying with the accounting rule that is supposed to have them report one number for each different program. Thank you for noticing.
No, I appreciate
Such
that.
close reading.
And what leads you to believe that, I guess, is a follow-up question?
Sure, because TIF is the dominant rising form of tax expenditure for economic development and savings. Yeah.
I that's part of the reason I'm asking these questions, and I
Please.
appreciate the information. It's because I think it's really important for us to kind of understand the foundation. Obviously, you're completely accurate, and I think the woman that spoke before me said it very well, that the city of St. Louis is in a place where we do need economic development, and we do need catalyzation to do all the things that I think you noted on your last slide, bring jobs, bring more opportunity, obviously bring improvements to our schools. And so I think my question is with you offering a moratorium on TIFs as a proposal, it makes it really hard for us to have the tools to do those things. And I think when you compare us in position to our peers, not only nationally, but also regionally, our information can get a little bit skewed just because of the condition that we're in as a city, with having a very small population and obviously competing with different school districts that operate on different rules than we do. So with that in mind, and with what you noted, obviously needing city leaders to come together to find better ways to incentivize this development, I guess my question is, why are you recommending the moratorium?
Because I think anytime you've been doing one thing over and over again and getting a bad result, you should consider stopping doing the thing that's not getting a good result. You know, it's kind of the definition of insanity, right?
But the bad result is not necessarily certain, as you noted, it's just the way things are being presented by the conditions that are. So
the city's lost more than half of its population. You've got many thousands of abandoned properties. Are you, is that a track record to recommend continuing the TIF more on a per capita basis, 8 times more than the other city in the country? I don't think so.
No, but I guess my other question is, how do you fix the abandoned properties?
And I think TIF could be a tool to do that, as I explained from both, especially from Flint, Michigan's example. I think that would be a really great back to basics use of the wood block.
So you agree that a moratorium on TIFs is not a permanent solution?
Oh, not a
until we
permanent,
can
not
revitalize
permanent,
it?
but just a reset button. Just let's have a new consensus about a reapplication or reshaping of priorities that stabilizes neighborhoods and focuses on affordable housing and community schools. Yeah, you bet. Mr. Williams from the St. Louis Development Corporation. Thank you.
I couldn't pass the opportunity to speak, and I appreciate you presenting the data. I think that concerns me more than the fact that we, the city, has over 20,000.
Yeah, use the microphone. It's a little hard to hear you.
Okay.
Focus it up.
Can you hear me now? Okay, we, the city of St. Louis, we have over 20,000 vacant properties. And we have many more that we haven't counted because of the tornado we just experienced. The issue that I guess I'd like to bring forth is that one, you mentioned that the number of TIFs. I guess I want to clarify for the group that's here that since I think the very first TIF in St. Louis was about 1990. And since that time, there have been probably about 150. Of that 150, about 130 of them were for an individual building, not a district. And so I want to just clarify that it's not 100. If you want to call a building a district, that's not. But most often we think of a district as an area. And today, the more successful districts in the city are those. One is Cortex, which provides at least 3 times the taxes that were being generated in the area to the school district. And I'm sorry I didn't bring my slide deck so I could also show what that has provided. But what I want to just mention here is that we have, in fact, looked at reform of all of our incentive programs. And the young lady here mentioned, I'm an old guy, so I can probably that we, in fact, have conditions that say that we appear, in many cases, to have blight in our areas. So, as compared to the folks that are in Chesterfield or Hazelwood or Clinton. And so, and many of those locations, they are in fact using incentives wildly as we turn around. So I think one of the things I wanted to mention that we have the perfect conditions for reselling incentives that the state legislature put out there. the misuse of those incentives have caused a great deal of controversy because they are being used in areas that are very well populated and little vacancy. And so the fact that we have this large vacancy here, we are trying to use the tools that we have. Now, we have modified them because we have gone through the reform that we suggested that could happen. And we are using some of the things, some of the ideas that you suggest here as well. But I need to say that I don't think that we've had a single TIF. I know you pointed to one in 2024, but actually that was an activation of an area of a TIF. But the TIF commission probably hasn't met in the last 4 years. The thing that is important to note is the number of tax abatements have also dwindled as well. But what can we do as a city to try to influence people to come back to the city? So the city of St. Louis is looking for an increase in the number of citizens. We're looking for an increase of our tax base. We are wanting to ensure that we have redevelopment and jobs available for our citizens. And so we don't really have people knocking our doors down to come. So the idea is, how can we incentivize those things to occur? And I realize that we just need to be smart about how we do that, but having a moratorium or not doing something to incentivize them, I strongly disagree with that approach. And so
I'm not proposing a long moratorium, I'm proposing a reset. If you put my last slide.
I'll tell you,
You asked
that for the last
there was
4
one
years,
question in
I
there.
think we've had 4 years of a moratorium.
Okay.
So I think that what we need to do is to figure out how we can, in fact, get going again and make sure that we make these properties that we have vacant alive. Just let me say that, and I'll make this bold statement, which is basically, I disagree with some of what you have said. In St. Louis, because of the reform we have with our incentives, it's impossible for a property that is tax abated, because generally if it's tax abated in the city, it's probably vacant and it needs to be revitalized for the city or to lose, or for the school board to lose, because on the day that that tax abatement is activated, the school board instantly get at least 10 to 20% higher than what they have. So if we have a vacant property, I'll give you an example. If the vacant property is paying $100 using round numbers in taxes, and many of these vacant properties, if it's vacant and no owner, is no payment. But if it's vacant and there is an owner, he may be paying $100.
Yeah.
I do. I want to make a
Ask a
comment.
question, and I have a 3-word answer. I have a 3-word answer for you guys. How can we get people coming back? You put my last slide back up. I have a 3-word answer. Great public schools.
Well, I don't, mine not 3 words, but I can tell you that
Thank you,
you
Mr. Otis.
aren't gonna have
Next
great
panel.
public schools with no people
We appreciate you, but we need to get
and
to
no
the next panel.
students.
Thank you so much. We don't want to be rude. We want to make sure everybody has a voice. So as you end, Mr. Leroy, can you tell the community what can parents and families and educators do to help support?
Sure. So if you want the study itself, it's go to goodjobsfirst.org. That's our website. The word first is spelled out. It's all one word right on the top of our publications page. We also have a whole tab on our website that you can find on the front called Protecting Public Education. You can see all the studies we've done and an explainer about how we won this fantastic new data that enabled today's study. And you can see other examples of other people like the ones I put the slides up about fighting to protect their public education in the name of good economic development.
Please, give Mr. Greg Leroy a hand. And as my second panel head up to the stage, I'm going to introduce to you 2 wonderful, amazing students. The first student, Miss DeAndrea Hemphill, she is the president of for Jobs for America graduates here at Vashon, and she's going to give you a little feedback on some things that she learned in Chicago for the community schools too.
Good evening. As you were already told, my name is Deandra Hipper. I'm the president for the Science Tech Program, and today I'm going to tell you about my trip to Chicago and visiting Drake Elementary. Visiting Drake Elementary School in Chicago was one of the most inspiring experiences I've had in a long time. From the moment I walked through the doors, I could tell the school was built on a strong foundation of community, support, and opportunity for every student. The atmosphere felt warm and welcoming, and it was clear that the staff truly cared about creating a positive environment where students could grow. The halls were filled with colorful displays of student work, motivational posters, and signs that showed the school culture focused on kindness, learning, and acceptance. Being there made me realize how much feel safe, supported, and excited to. What impressed me the most were the incredible resources available to the students at Drake Elementary. The classrooms were equipped with modern technology that helped make learning more interactive, and the school offered a variety of academic and extracurricular programs designed to meet each student's needs. There were reading corners, hands-on learning stations, and even spaces dedicated to creativity and work, as well as their emotional and social development. Seeing all these resources made me appreciate how dedicated the school is to helping students succeed. Overall, my visit to Drake Elementary was truly amazing, and it showed me how powerful and supportive the school environment can be in shaping younger learners' futures. Thank you. This next amazing young lady, we also love and appreciate them. They did speak at the board meeting last night, and we're very proud of the work they're doing. We keep hearing people talk really bad about St. Louis Public Schools, but we have amazing students, and they're doing amazing things. Miss Yanni McCray Needles, she is a leader for Jobs for American Graduates as well, and she is also a student here at this show. Good evening, staff and visitors of Vashon. Small correction, I am VP of Associates of Job of American Graduates. So yesterday we spoke at the Board of Education, and I touched a little bit on how they had tutoring and food support. But before I get into that, I'm going to introduce. My name is Yanni McCray Nettles. I am a part of the JAG Career Association program. I am also student president of my junior class. During our visit to Drake Elementary, we observed a school environment built on proactive support, meaningful relationships, and shared responsibility. Staff and students participated in regular check-ins that focused on how people were truly doing, not just on behavior or academics. These early conversations combined with restorative justice practices helped address problems before they grew into larger conflicts. Instead of relying only on discipline, the school emphasized understanding, accountability, and repairing harm, which created a safer and more respectful atmosphere for everyone. We also saw how having an on-site medical clinic strengthened the connection between the school and the community. Students and families could access physical and mental health services without missing class or work. Removing barriers that need community space, this made the school a central place where people could get support, guidance, and resources beyond the classroom. By bringing academic, emotional, restorative, and health services together, the school operated as a true community hub. It showed a deep and consistent commitment to making sure every student and family felt valued, supported, and connected. Something that could transform not just the school, but an entire neighborhood. I want to say thank you for your time and listening to what the students and alumni have learned, and we hope to bring it back to St. Louis. Great job. I'm gonna take it over actually. That was a great job, and I just kind of wanted to touch a little bit. A lot of people in our neighborhoods or in our areas talk about tax abatements, but yet those are the same people that criticize us when we don't pay our taxes. Many support large developments like the projects like the NGA around the corner because they believe that's what progress looks like. But the truth is, tax abatements aren't helping the homeless families in our community. They're not supporting the mom and pop restaurants right here or the small businesses that have been holding our neighborhoods together for years. Instead, they're benefiting big corporations by moving them into our underserved areas and pushing longtime residents and businesses out. And the jobs created through these projects rarely go to the people who actually live in the area. So we deserve development that includes us, not development that replaces us. These young people on this panel will introduce themselves. They're going to take a minute and a half to introduce themselves and just let you know what their focus is tonight.
And after they do that, you can please go to the mic and ask them questions. They are all educators in our St. Louis Public School classrooms. So if you have something that you need to ask our last town hall, you all wrote on these papers that you wanted to talk to the people in the classroom. Well, you have them here and use them as you may.
Okay, good evening, everyone. My name is Dr. Nelva Brooks, and I serve as an English as a second or other language teacher at Roosevelt High School. Sometimes we call it ESOL instead of saying all the words. So happy to see everyone tonight, coming out and being engaged in our community affair.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Lavette Thomas Martin. I am a SPED teacher at ETS at Madison Center for Educational Therapeutic Support. We service students and scholars that have IEPs that need more help with emotional and behavior support. We provide all the in-house needs of our students. We support the whole child when it comes to the family, because we know those students need and those families need the support the most. We're available 24 hours. Our phones are always on. I had a parent text me when I was sitting back there. So we are a whole child school.
Good evening, and thank you for allowing me to participate in this. My name is John Moore. I'm a special education department head for Clyde C. Miller Career Academy. I've been at Clyde C. Miller since 1997. It's the only school I've worked at, so I've been able to watch the district. I've gone through more superintendents than I have finger and toes, it seems like, in that short amount of time. But I am hopeful that we have one now that will be the one that we have been wishing for all this time. That and I'm gonna take a little time to speak on her, because I know she loves our kids, she loves our schools, she loves our people. She wants to see everybody move forward. She's open, she listens, and that's what we've been asking for. So thank you, and keep doing what you're doing. Sorry about that. I think I got maybe 10 more seconds left. So, but I was asked to come to speak on some of the behavior issues we have in Clyde C. Miller as a career and technical high school. We send our kids to college and we send our kids into the professions. And I think that's the way of the future. And I thought that since 1997, and that was the reason why I started working at Career Academy. Because I'm also a firefighter. I'm a captain on the East St. Louis Fire Department. I have 30 years doing that, and I just needed a second job. And I came over to Clyde C. Miller as a second job, and here I am since 1997, still working at Clyde C. Miller, St. Louis Public School.
Okay, my name is Denise Porter. I am a para, or presently a building lead substitute at Siegel Elementary School, working with the second grade. And I too want to champion Dr. Berry. I'm so thankful because if you listen to what President Cummings said in his introduction of her, was that she was from St. Louis Public Schools. She graduated from St. Louis Public Schools. She attended a Missouri college, received a degree, came back to St. Louis. And so that's what we need. We've got to create that. And we have to do it through our housing, because this is all very complex, what we have here in this city. We've got to get people to come here. We've got to get the people that are here skilled so that they can be hired and support the city economically. If we don't do that, if we don't equip our children in this school system, if we don't do something with those buildings, because our children and our families can't take everything leaving them all the time. And so when we leave, when these people up here leave, these bright, brilliant children, then the building in their community leaves. Then they've got other things leaving them, mothers, parents, sisters, brothers, aunts. We've got to stop that. And we can't grow, as you said, we need skilled people. And we can take those buildings and create areas for plumbers, areas for electricians, areas for all types of skills that are going tech and IT. As people hopefully become attracted to a city that has people they can call on for employment as well as ourselves. So my role will be to talk about how the community school is an alternative for what we have now instead of getting rid of some schools so that we can do that. And I know Dr. Berry will be in support of that. Thank you.
Thank you. As you all want to come up and ask questions, please feel free. But my first question to all of you is, we know what we at SLP is. We know what works for us, right? We know what doesn't work for us. So in your specific roles, ESOL, therapeutic school, the head of SPED, para support, support personnel, paraprofessionals. And paraprofessionals are those people that are in the schools that are not certified. So let's be clear that it goes from the bus driver, cafeteria, custodian, TA, librarian, it's plenty of us. So please just give us about 30 seconds to 45 seconds and tell us how in each one of your roles that the community school model, and no, let's be clear, we have these type of models in SLP. So let's not just say that we got this out of Chicago because we're already doing some of the work. We just want to see more of the work done. So please explain that, and you all please feel to come and ask some questions. They'll be on the panel for another 20 minutes.
I'll start. So how specifically does community schools model support English language learners, who are our most rapidly growing demographic group among students in K-12 setting? So newly arrived, English learners enter the United States, especially in middle and high school, struggle the most for success because they have the least amount of time to make the most gains. And when the time that a student could remain in the St. Louis Public Schools ESOL program was cut by an entire year by our former superintendent, it made it even more difficult for these students to gain the practical experience and practice that they need. And the research around second language acquisition clearly states that English language learners need 5 to 8 years of instruction to reach academic parity with their native English students. And so, therefore, to support the students on a recent arrival to the US who have low or no native language literacy, we need the community school model that supports them not only academically, but also socially and holistically with wraparound services that support the student or every student while they're trying to develop their English skills. This includes meeting so many of those other unmet skills. For example, like trying to navigate the United States school system, or perhaps using a bathroom with indoor plumbing for the first time, or experiencing changes in the seasons. Right now, I still have some students who are walking around in sandals because, where they're from, they've never experienced cold weather like this before. So providing with community schools, providing those wraparound services, providing coats, mittens, hats, appropriate shoes, or weather changes, or even access to laundry equipment or dental and vision checkups, as well as focusing on mental health for our students who have been affected by trauma or war-torn countries. And so this means that these students need that extended time and those extended wraparound services to help them to become fluent in their comprehension, oral, language and writing skills development. So we're not asking for less time, we're asking for that trifecta where they can get all of those things in a small community and move forward. And finally, I want to say, the community school model helps students to become or stay engaged with the curriculum, supports the academic accommodations that are put in place by the routines. So we start early with the routines and continue to model them throughout every grade level simultaneously as academic level learning commences. And so.
Well, I will say at ETS at Madison, we, like I said before, we support the whole child. We have, food bags that our kids go home with every day. They have a meal that can be made. We also do demonstrations to show them how they can prepare this meal with a microwave. Because a lot of them have microwave. The only thing that they can get to or air fryer. We also provide, we spoil our parents. I think we spoil them a little too much because a lot of our parents don't want to leave. They like, no, they have to go back. We make sure our parents have laundry detergent. We have a washer and dryer that was donated to our school. And also the foundation also makes sure I have washing powder that our kids make sure our coats are clean. We have Kids Smart donates so much to our school as far as cleaning products, incentives for our students. I want to say Christmas programs, like I just did a bike program at our school where every kid at our school gets a bike, and it's every 2 years. I have to put this updated to make sure every 2 years they receive a bike. So at our school, we're doing things because we know that our students are the students that kind of go home and give their parents the most trouble. So we want to make sure, hey, like we don't call our parents when our schools do things that are, so let me say this, no suspensions at our school. We feel that when they're at home, they're not learning. So we can figure out what's the problem. And we are a therapy group. We have therapists on site. They get 30 minutes group, 30 minutes to themselves if they need the 30 minutes. And if they need more time, the therapist is right on site. I feel like we are doing the work. We just need more help. And we're a small school. A lot of people don't even know about us when they say ETS, the man like, what school is that? We're right by Bush Stadium. So, yeah.
So as my role as a special education, department head, I deal with a lot of issues. Special education runs the gamut from severely handicapped, paraplegic, all the way up to gifted student that may have ADHD. So we supply a lot of resources for our kids, whether it's accommodations for the more academically astute kids or occupational therapy for some of the physically handicapped kids. So the community wraparound model, special education would fit in and would be an integral part because of the services that we provide. With community service based schools, it's always been said in our community that it takes a village to raise a child. And our village has been scattered throughout other different places, and we've lost our connection to each other because of that. And a community-based school will bring our village back together. And that's the best way to operate. And as far as special education services that we can provide, first of all, a community-based school, for one thing, for me, the idea will attract teachers and other people because it's going to be a place of stability. It's a place where someone could come and get a job and raise a family and won't have to worry about their safety because everybody is going to be pulling in the same direction. So special education in the community center, we could provide tutoring in all our services, because basically now with COVID and our schools getting closed down for years, all our kids are special ed. They have one need or another that falls under what we would provide. And when I say all our kids are special ed, a lot of people take special ed as a negative connotation, but it's really not. Okay, because we, like I said, we run the gamut from the intellectually disabled to the cognitively advantaged genius kids. And I want to say this too, I want to brag on my kids, and this is what special education can do for our kids. At Clyde C. Miller Career Academy last year, our salutatorian and our valedictorian were both SPED kids. Okay, that's the first time this ever happened in the time I've been in St. Louis Public. This year, I have a kid that is in our SPED program. He's dual enrollment at Forest Park. So he'll graduate with the associates and his diploma. And then another thing, we're in technical high school, so it's very important. We have to explain and break down the different pathways, and some of our pathways, like culinary arts, is dangerous because of the heat and the knives and everything. But what I found is that our kids sometimes excel greater than some of the gen ed kids. And I hate saying gen ed especially because I spend a lot of my time dealing with the gen ed kids rather than the special ed kids, because I co-teach. We don't have separate classes for our SPED and gen ed students. As a matter of fact, a lot of times we do pullouts. We'll pull out more gen ed kids than SPED kids to receive our services. So SPED in the community based school will serve an instrumental role in helping keep everybody together. Then our kids, they go psychological, that's a part of SPED. We do psychological examinations on kids. You know, what I found is a lot of kids, they just don't have the basic understanding and of how they should function in society, because they've been thrown off because of social media, and they live their life more on the web than they do in reality. Then they bring their web mess to school and live it out. But I think that the community-based school has my support 100%, and I think we can make it work. I think that's the plan in the future.
Okay. So I want to sort of address the components of the community school and look at where my part as a parent will enhance that. Okay, so it's built on these 4 frameworks. And is everybody familiar with those frameworks? Okay, so it's built on these 4 frameworks. Number 1, integrated student support, expanded and enriched learning time, expanded and enriched learning time, active family and community engagement, and collaborative leadership and in practices. Collaborative leadership, collaborative in our practice as well. And as CJ said, we do a lot of this, but one of the things that affected and that resonates with me the most that I saw in Chicago was family engagement and extended and enriched learning time. Because this framework looks at the whole child and not just the academia of that child. And as we know, our children come with a lot of trauma, they come with a lot of problems, come with a lot of movement. Our kids can be transient from house to house, place to place, school to school. So in my part, one thing we've got to cure is reading and math. We've got to cure that so that our kids can be competent and able to take on and grasp and successfully make a difference with their skill in this community. They've got to be able to read, they've got to be able to do math in order to become functional, where we can support this city. So when we look at those two components of the framework, integrated student support as well as family and community engagement, that's where my type of position works, is important, because we have to support our teachers when we have so much disparity in reading and in math in our classrooms. They need help. You can't work with kids or expect kids who come into a fourth grade classroom and they're reading at a first grade level. They will need that expanded time and extended help. We try and do that through our after school programs, but you're talking about really addressing some reading issues and math issues that it takes a while to recover and get back to that grade level and then get back on track. One thing that community schools can do with their budget is begin to redirect funds in that area. They can begin to train families on their part in the overall education of that child. We're no longer the strong literate society that most of us grew up with. We had two newspapers in this city, St. Louis Post and the Democrat. We went to church and read Sunday school books. That's not the society, the family setting that we see now. So that's the part, those are the components within the community framework that my position, as well as teachers too, can be more successful in this type of school setting. You understand what I'm saying? So, as I said before, this model is based on the whole child. So here's this student that may not be strong academically, but we're more than academics, right? And so we provide music, we provide instrumental lessons before, after school. We provide, do we know how to cook anymore? We've got diabetes, we've got kidney disease. If we're not healthy, then how long can we sustain these positions? Tech, internet. We've got to get our students, and we don't have all of that time in the classroom. We've got 6.5 hours with them. What, 6 hours? It's just not enough time within that setting. We need that expanded time as well. And you've got to have staff and funding directed specifically for that. So that's my point.
So we're gonna ask if we have any questions from the audience that we can take, please. Thank you.
Good evening.
Evening.
I per se don't have a question, because we introduced the practice. I per se don't have a question, except I'm gonna make a statement. I did attend the community-based trip to Chicago for you all. And it's headed with Vashon Unified Alumni. My name is James Gibbs. We were very impressed with what we saw. And this is my thing, Adam will take that over from you.
Thank you again for everyone for coming. I've been voluntold by this young man to say something. First of all, I want to congrats to the interim superintendent as well. I'll be brief. She has Vashon roots, and most of y'all know that. I'm from Vashon, class of '77. Her parents graduated with me. So we're happy to have her, happy to see her on board. We would. Thank you. Tell me you saw Nate. The trip was very enlightening. It was very enlightening. And being from Bashan, I went to Banneker, I've only been in 2 schools, St. Louis Public Schools, Banneker Elementary, which is closed, and Bashan High School. I support Mr. Gibbs. We can't speak for the alumni, but we both we were very impressed. What I would like to see, to take the time to put all of this together, the question I had for them was, how long did it take? Because we were at the elementary school, and kindergartners were just unbelievably disciplined. It just was something that I hadn't seen since I was in elementary school. Let's try to get this thing done right. I was told it may have been done before, but it was not, lack of a better term, put together as well as it should be. So let's try to do it. I like what I saw, and I'd like to see that come back to St. Louis. Thank you. Yes, right. Yes. That was something. One of the best days of my life. And I took off work. It was the best. It was real. I couldn't believe it. It just mind-boggling. So if I have a say, community school.
Right, thank you. Right. Please, more comments and questions?
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone. Question to the community engagement specialist. That's you on the end. I forgot your name.
That's not anymore.
Well, so question to you all is so I worked with the OVP office while convention with the city, and I've noticed that a lot of the homes were lacking men, which I believe is the foundation to how it starts at home. So in your curriculum, in your workshop, in your program for engagement, do you have any program specifically that caters and target the men in our community?
Oh, you want the mic? Okay. Okay, no problem. I'm so sorry. We partner with, again, Mentors in Motion, some of the school, some of them would Show Me. I don't know if it's Show Me Peace or Show Me Institute. I don't know the name of it right now off the top of my head. But a lot of those community partners that are in those communities, they'll show up. Like the pastors, like Reverend Norris, he goes to Sumner. He sits in with the kids at lunchtime. He has those conversations. He opens his church so that they can come. So it's gonna take that part of the village to say, we want to stand up and we want to show up and we want to show out for these schools that are in our district. And while they're doing that, in the midst of that, that's where the privatizers are trying to come in as well. So they're like, oh, we got this good reading program. Oh, we have this, such an amazing thing for men to do. And low key, they're trying to take over and privatize our schools. So yeah, we do have those. And since I know you, I think you should partner with the school right across the street from your house. And let's see how we can help the men that's right across the street from your house, and let's do more support there.
Well, I already did, which is a good thing. And also I partnered with Job Corps, and I was gonna ask about Job Corps. Have you all considered Job Corps?
That's a good conversation to have, and I wouldn't know nothing about that, but we would speak with.
I know you know, we're gonna talk.
Here, but that's good energy. That's really good energy. and those Job Corps kids, I just want to shout him out. He cooked for our St. Louis Public School kids on Thanksgiving, brought them in his bed and breakfast. He fed them, cooked in front of them, fed them, ate with them, and gave them giveaways, and the kids had a great time. I hope I answered the question. Mr. Hill, I'm sorry.
Yes, Ms. CJ, I'd like to comment on something that the gentleman said about bringing men into the household. I'm also, I'm first vice president of AFT 420, and I'm also part of the Ecumenical Society of St. Louis. And we have people in our group that are putting together workshops to teach people how to select the proper mates, how to get people married to the right person, that we can build up our city, because I'm also a teacher in the St. Louis Public Schools. And I see a lot of the things that these very educated people have talked about. And I invite parents to come into the schools, come and see what goes on in these schools. We have a lot of bright people in our buildings that are working hard, but we have a lot of brilliant scholars that are there working, trying to be the next level of professionals in our district. So we are doing things, but a lot of people just don't know about it. So I invite everyone, pick a school, go spend a day in the school, talk to the teachers, talk to the students, and you'll see what's going on. We have a lot of positive things happening, but like I said, sometimes it gets overshadowed by the negative, but we do have these things going on. So thanks for doing this.
We gotta get a background check. We gotta get a background check. Background check. I was just commenting on a young man that was right here. Now, I was thinking also this, the Boy Scouts, St. Louis Boy Scouts. Now, we have Boy Scout leaders that come into the schools that also are mentors for our young boys and young men. So, if you'd like to know, I have a young man, I have a gentleman that I know that he's also a parent engagement counselor. And he handles the St. Louis Boy Scouts. And I just wanted to share that information.
Just to recap, I think the community schools model works wonderfully well with not only our ESOL students, but all students, encouraging courses in AP and et cetera, but providing those wraparound services to make sure there is no need, that every need is met so that the students can focus on their academics rather than other things.
And I would like to say, when we close the doors of teaching for the day, I would like to open up the doors for the community. I think that if we had a place for kids to go and make video game teams and EA Sports and a recording studio, maybe a home ec room so kids can learn how to sew a button back on. If we can open our schools up for that, and then have also medical assistance for people that can't, get some doctor and stuff like this. I think it really works.
So I'd like to say that this model will work for our kids, because our kids are more than social studies, science, math, and English. And this model will affect the whole child. It'll give them a place to go. It'll give them a place to go for recreation. It'll give them a place to go for counseling. It'll give them a place to go for tutoring, and just socialization is a very important part of growing up. And our kids have lost that through the social media. And when we bring our community back together, I think our society will come back together. Thank you.
And lastly, I like the component of that extended time so that we can give the help, the extended help that our children need to enhance their reading and their math skills. And that's the part of the model that resonates with me well. Thank you.
Let's give them a round of applause again. As we appreciate you all for, just sit for 1 second, we're gonna close out. You guys got 20 seconds. Thank you. That took all our time. Don't be trying to leave that. No, I'm just playing. Yeah, no, I'm just kidding. But once again, really thank you all for being here. I just want you all to know that you are the village. And it takes all of us for all of us to thrive. I know a lot of the times they'll be like, oh, the teachers are failing the kids. Oh, St. Louis Public Schools are failing our students. No, we're fighting for funding. We're fighting for support. We're fighting for equity. We're fighting for a voice. So please be clear. We have a new superintendent. Y'all gonna see us in just speaking. And we coming deep. But yeah, once again, we just want you all to continue to support SLPS, continue to support the public schools. As the president of the AFT, American Federation of Teachers, Public Employees, etc., in Missouri, not only is my fight here, but my fight is in the whole Missouri area. So what I've learned and what I get from SLPS, I'm taking so that my other schools can also be thriving in their districts as well. Miss Carolyn is going to close us out with a prayer. You all be safe in your travels, and we'll see y'all next time.
Good, wonderful. Thank you for coming out tonight. We're just gonna close with a prayer. I am so grateful for this evening and to be in your presence. We just thank you for the opportunity for all that we have heard tonight. You have done great things. We thank you for this season. Oh God, we just thank you for the season of peace that you are giving us tonight. We thank you for the presenters. We thank you for all of those who have come out. We thank you for the traveling mercies that you gave them. But God, tonight, so important to me is the superintendent that you have put in place for us. We are so grateful, oh God, for just where you have allowed her to walk and that you have allowed her to be in this place tonight. The things that you are about to do in this district. We pray for the leadership and we pray for the people who are standing. We lift her up tonight, God. We do. And we thank you, oh God, because you are about to do a new thing in this place. Behold, you will do a new thing, and we declare it to be so. We ask you, oh God, that you will be with each of us as we go further. In the name of Jesus, we pray. Thank God. Amen. And you are dismissed. You be blessed. Amen.
Yeah, you want to press over the shoot. Was this on? Oh, wait, I don't hear this. I'm not hearing anything. That's weird. It's that's so nice. Okay. Yeah. That's it. So I'll put. All right.